Fontenot, and I'm Alan Parish's Teacher of the Year for the high school. I just want to introduce myself and welcome y'all to my classroom. This is the agricultural classroom, and in the classroom you will see several of these blue area, district, and state banners. This is the subject matters that I teach here at Kinder High School in the Ag Department, and we take these subjects and through our FFA we compete against our peers, and so we've been we've had a lot of success, as you can see, and so I just want to let y'all know what we do is we take and we get these names embroidered like this right here, and this is kind of a motivational thing. So when they come to me as freshmen and they walk in and they see these banners, that might be their uncle or their dad one day or even their mom. So I think it's a real motivating thing for the new students that come from the junior high and up to the high school to see the success that can be had here in the Ag Department, and so I wanted y'all to see that. That's kind of what I want you to do. So you're going to ask your peers these questions on previous learned information. All right, so anybody want to start me off? Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead and stand for me.
What is an immature female horse? An immature female equine called?
An immature female what?
Equine.
Immature female equine. Raise your hand. Call on somebody, Sam.
A filly.
A filly. Okay. Stan.
What is a mature female?
Mare. Okay. Very good.
What is an immature male equine animal with testicles?
Colt.
Colt. Very good.
What is a mature castrated male?
Gelding. Very good.
What is a mature male equine with testicles called?
Stud or stallion. Very good. Okay, so that's really good. So what we're going to do is when we go outside and we evaluate our horses and place them, okay, after we learn how to properly place them, then you should be able to put that in your reasons, you know, whether if it's a mare or gelding or colt or stallion. So that's really good. So now we reviewed our markings, all right, and we also reviewed our horses' proper names based on gender. And so now we're going to go ahead and talk about today's lesson, which is to properly select and evaluate a halter class. So when we go back down, we'll look at the first thing that you wrote down when evaluating a halter class. Okay, is structural correctness. So with structural correctness, and you can refer to your handout, with structural correctness we want one that has a long sloping shoulder. So when you look at this horse, from the withers to the point of the shoulder, he should be long and sloping. Okay, clap one time. All right, if you look at this horse, all right, he's very steep from the withers down. It's not long and sloping, he's very steep. Okay. So we want him to be short and strong in his back in proportion to his long underline. All right. Look at this. This horse is very long in his back, and he's kind of weak. He's got a little dip in his back. Okay. He does have a long underline, but he's kind of long in his back and kind of weak in his back when compared to our good horse that is very short and strong in his back in proportion to his long underline. Clap 2 times. Thank you. Correct on his feet and legs. So we want a horse to be very correct on his feet and legs. Why do we want a horse to be correct on his feet and legs? Not toed in, not toed out. Why do we need a sound horse? Mackenzie, why do we need a sound horse? To ride. All right? Maybe we need to work cows on him. Or maybe we're going to rodeo and participate and compete. All right? Or maybe we just want to go out on a trail. So if we do not have a horse that is structurally sound, then we don't get to do what we need to get done on him. Okay? Short and wide in his cannons. The cannons is between the knee or hock and the ankle. We need them short and wide. Actually, this horse needs to be a little wider through his cannons. Okay, let's look at our other horse. Okay, this horse probably could be wider in his cannons as well. This one's pretty long in his cannons right there. So one is not very short or wide in his cannons. All right, then we'll jump into our next base word that we look at when we're looking at a horse, which is balance. One that forms an approximate square, and that's smooth and symmetrical through his lines. So, smooth and symmetrical through his lines. That means I would like for him to go from the pole to the wither. That's one line. And from the wither to the hip bone is your second line. And from the hip bone to the tail set. Now this line is always going to be a little shorter. Okay? So, but look how steep and short he is in his croup. Not very long and sloping. Look at our good horse. Look at those lines. From there to there, there to there, and there to there, which is very long and sloping, is a very balanced horse that also forms an approximate square. Clap 3 times. Thank you. Head in proportion to its body being short and refined. If you look at the head on this horse, very short, got an indentation right there in the center. Really a very short and refined type headed horse. Look at this one. He's very plain, a little long in his head, not really refined through his head. So we'll go on through. Let's go into muscling. So we want one that's very powerful muscled in his forearm. One that's also the widest chested in the horse in the class, and that's very powerful in the thigh, stifle, and gaskin. So we'll just jump into that. Very weak in the forearm. One that's very weak in his thigh, stifle, and gaskin. Let's look at our good horse here. Look at that horse. Very powerful in his forearm. You get to the thigh right in here and the stifle right in here, and look at that big old gaskin. A real powerful muscle type of horse. Really a deep, wide-chested kind of a horse. He's just overall balanced. He's structurally correct, and he's powerful muscled. So again, our purpose today is for you to be able to correctly identify and select and place a halter class of horses. So I gave you a good demonstration of a great horse and one that's not so great. So again, our purpose is that you will properly evaluate, place, and give your oral reasons for your actual placements. Okay? So what I have for you today is we've got some horses outside, and I'll give you a little time. We might play a little music, I don't know. And you will get with your group. Everybody's going to have your clipboard, and you will each talk a specific horse, but y'all will decide that amongst your groups. So you can help each other in your group evaluate and place these horses first, second, third, and fourth. Flat looking for a place to happen. Y'all step back about 2 notches. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I placed this halter class of quarter horse geldings 4, 3, 1, 2. I started the class with number 4 bay. He's one that's got a star and a snip. He's got a front right pastern and a back left sock. He's a horse that really ties in nice into his shoulder. He's a long and sloping in his shoulder, short and strong in his back in proportion to his long underline. I like to see him longer and more sloping in his croup, but one that's really powerful muscled in that he's very powerful in his thigh, stifle, and gaskin. He's correct on his feet and legs. You like for his strength, width, and shortness through his cannons. He wins a class for me today. Next, we have the number 3 buckskin with the half passion on the back left. Okay, he's one you really like for tying into that shoulder. He's got some good angulation through this shoulder, and one that's real powerful in his thigh, stifling gaskin. But we do criticize him for not being very short and strong in his back in proportion to his underline, and one that we'd like to see a little longer and sloping and more symmetrical through his lines. He'll be second today. Clap one time. Next we have the number 1 gray gelding. You know, he's one that's he's long and sloping in his croup, short and strong in his back, but one that we felt just wasn't as short and refined in his head, one that just didn't power up through his thigh stifling gaskin. In comparison to the 2 we placed above, he'll be third. And at the bottom of the class, the number 2 gray gelding. A real long, tall, framey type of horse there for you, but he's one I do criticize. He's real long in his back. He's not long and sloping in his croup. One I also criticize for being very long and narrow in his cannons, and one that was not as short and refined through his head to move up in class for me today. So it's for these reasons that I place this halter class of quarter horse geldings 4, 3, 1. Okay. You ready? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I placed this halter class of quarter horse geldings 4, 3, 1, 2. We saw many similarities and differences today, but the number 4 horse rose to the top, having the most complete package. We start the class with the number 4 bay with a full pastern on the front right, full sock on the back left, a star strip, and a snip. He's one that I appreciate for being short and strong in his back in comparison to his long underline. He's also one that I really like for being powerful muscled through the thigh, stifle, and gaskin, and for being powerful muscled through the forearm. He easily wins the class for me today.
Next, we have the number 3 buckskin with the half passion on the back left. He's one that I appreciate for being powerful through his forearm and short and refined in his head, and weak in his back. He'll be second today.
Next, we have the number 1 gray gelding. He's one that I criticize for being weak and long in the back, and then one I felt was not short and refined in the head. But I appreciate him for having more definition than the horse above. He'll be third.
At the bottom of the class, we have the number 2 gray gelding with no marks. He's one that had a head that was not refined, being long in his head as well as in his back. He had the least powerful cannons, not being short and wide, and he had an inadequate amount of muscles. For these reasons, I place this class of quarter horse geldings 4, 3, 1, 2.
Good. Take a step back. Y'all give me a line, shoulder to shoulder. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you again, our purpose for today's lesson was for you to be able to take a group of horses like this, all right, and to evaluate them based on what we went over in class, on what to look for in a halter class. So you properly evaluate them and selected them and placed them. Okay, there is a scorecard. We're going to call this class 5. You need to mark class 5, how you placed them on your scorecard. Okay, and for your ending ticket, to check for understanding and that you did the work, your exit ticket is going to be your reasons. So make